Hey, I'm Maria Thomas from the Pasa Midwest team, and I'm joined by Megan Alvarez, an immigration lawyer, and we're here to talk about the latest updates to DACA. So first off, today is October 5th, and it is the deadline for reapplication for some DACA recipients. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So when Trump made his announcement last month that he was ending DACA effective March 2018, there was this kind of grace period that individuals who had DACA status that was ending prior to that March 2018 date, those individuals were allowed to renew their status for an additional 2 years. Now, those applications for renewal had to be postmarked by today in order to qualify for that renewal.
Okay, and are there any other updates on DACA outside of that reapplication deadline?
I think the one update is the legislation that is currently being debated in Congress. I think when Trump announced that DACA was going to end, there seemed to be a lot of motivation to get a bill passed that would allow DACA recipients to legalize their status. And since then, of course, we've seen politics come into play. And what we're seeing now is we kind of have two camps essentially. We have those who just want to pass DACA legislation straight away, and then we have other individuals that are wanting to tie in other aspects of immigration reform onto a DACA bill. So some of those proposals have been, for example, the wall that we've heard a lot about. Additionally, today news reports were saying that the Trump administration would like to further limit legal immigration into the U.S., meaning limiting the number of visas that are given out. And so, again, that was just today in the news, was mentioned as a possible, essentially, tie-in to a DACA bill. So the problem there is that those that are wanting to pass a DACA bill straight away are not willing to compromise on those issues and are not willing to include wall funding or visa limitations into a DACA bill. So right now it looks like we're having some holdup with DACA legislation, but there, of course, there's no telling about how that's going to pan out between now and the March 2018 deadline.
And a lot of people have asked, why don't DACA recipients just file for residency or citizenship?
Sure. So that's a good question. There seems to be a misconception that individuals are here so they can just apply and legalize their status, but it's actually fairly complicated because in order to qualify for citizenship, an individual first has to have residency for a 5-year period. Residency is essentially the green card. Now, an individual only qualifies for a green card in the first place if they have a petitioner. And petitioners can come in two forms. Petitioners can be family-based or they can be employment-based. So if they're family-based, you would essentially need a U.S. citizen spouse or a U.S. citizen parent to petition for you in order to get that green card. But many DACA recipients have an extra issue to overcome in that many of them were brought into the country without authorization. And if you're brought in without authorization, then you don't qualify, even if you do have a U.S. citizen spouse or a U.S. citizen parent petitioning for you, you don't qualify straight away for a green card. You have to go through a waiver process due to the unlawful entry. So it becomes very complicated in order for individuals to get a green card. And keep in mind, many of the dreamers are still young, still in school, and as a result, they may not be married. And of course, their parents, who usually brought them over, are not U.S. citizens, so they don't really have a family-based option. As far as employment-based options, those are very difficult as well because we have limits on the number of employment-based visas that are handed out, and there's also strict limits on the type of people that qualify for those visas. So again, and even if, again, they still run into the problem that if they came here unlawfully, they're still considered inadmissible, so they have to go through a waiver process. And some of them are not going to qualify for that waiver. So as a result, for them, just getting to step one, getting to that residency is a hurdle. And then after that, even if they are granted residency, again, they have to have 5 years of resident status in order to qualify for citizenship. So as a result, It's not that simple. In fact, it's very complicated, and many DACA recipients do not qualify for any other status than DACA. So they're just not able to qualify for citizenship or residency.
And what would you say to parents or guardians of someone who has a DACA recipient in this situation?
Well, I think right now, DACA recipients who are on status are allowed to essentially write out that status. So they can continue, I would suggest that they continue to work, they continue to go to school, whatever they may be doing. They continue to do that because, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen, if we're going to have legislation or not. But as long as they have that status, they're still here lawfully, so they should continue to pursue, what they're doing, and contact the folks in Congress, and be active in asking for a DACA bill.
And would you say anything different to a DACA recipient?
No, not necessarily. I think those individuals are contributing members to our society. They're the up and coming generation, so they need to continue to work and educate themselves and be active in their communities, and make sure people know their stories. So that way their friends and neighbors who are citizens can call up their members of Congress and ask them for DACA legislation.
And how can someone contact you if they have any questions?
Sure, my number is 812-455-2068. You can also find me on the web at alvarezlawpractice.com.
All right, thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.